welcome back to my channel. Today I am really excited to share with you this beautiful pattern. This is from the Drops Paris yarn, and I mentioned it on my community post a little bit ago. I've been waiting for the yarn to come in, and you can see all these beautiful colors on here. This is called the Popsicle Poncho. And I am including a link to the actual pattern in the description box. You can take a look at that there. Some of it's a little bit confusing, but I hope the tutorial here will help you with putting this beautiful thing together. And I think it's a really nice light cotton summer poncho in these beautiful vibrant colors. I think you'll really enjoy it. So get your materials together and we'll give this a go. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, for starters, let's take a look at what we need for this, this beautiful poncho. So I am using the Drops Paris cotton yarn that actually calls for in the pattern itself. I'm not sure how easy this is for you to get. I will tell you that I could not find this in the United States. By the way, if anybody has, please drop a comment down below and please let me know where you found it. But I actually had to get this from 3 different locations overseas for me, and took a while to get it in, but I really wanted to use these particular beautiful colors that came in the actual pattern. Now, you don't need to use this precise type of yarn. You can use whichever you'd like. A couple things about this. This is 100% cotton. So you can see it's 100% cotton. It is similar to a cotton, pretty much any cotton yarn that you will find. I will say that it has a little softer feel. If you guys have been following my channel, you know I really like the Lion brand Kobu because it has a little bit of a softer, kind of smooth texture to it because of the cotton bamboo blend. But this is also pretty nice. One thing I've noticed when working with this yarn though is that it is very loosely plied. If you can kind of see the different strands in there, and when I'm crocheting with this, it does come apart a little bit more than the Kobu does, but it's still kind of a nice feeling yarn. So I actually used the Drops Paris, and there are 5 different colors in this pattern. There is an off-white, which in the pattern it calls for 150 grams. These are 50 gram balls here, so I had 3 of those. And then the apricot, which is really pretty, it calls for 3 of those. This is the peach, which is nice. It called for 3 of those. This is the raspberry, 3 of those, and then the red, which it's 3 to 4 depending on which size you're doing. I got 4 just in case, but depending on what size you're using, if you're doing the larger size, you need an extra row of red, so you'll want a fourth ball of the red. So these are the 4 yarns I have. Again, get a different cotton yarn if you want, in whatever color combination you want. You don't have to have this effect of different colors. You can do it all one if you want. I just thought the way that it flowed between the colors was really pretty, so I wanted to make sure I got these precise colors. Also, it calls for a 5mm crochet hook. Now, normally I have a little tighter stitch for me, and so sometimes, depending on the pattern, I might go up a 1/2 millimeter. This is loosely crocheted, so I stuck with the 5mm for this. Excuse me. Scissors, of course, blunt tapestry needle to weave in ends, and depending if you want to measure for a particular size, I would recommend having a tape measure around as well. So the way this is done is it's actually from the neck down. So we start with the off-white color and couple things about the pattern. It's a little confusing to start with, but what it says for starters is that you start with a chain of 64 to 72, depending on how big that you want that, and that your chain should be loosely crocheted, so pretty loose stitches. Now, a couple of things I would recommend is that figure out what chain size works for you or for whomever you are making this for. What you essentially want is, since we're doing the neck, you want this to be able to fit around the head, and you want it to lay around the neck where you would want the neck opening of the poncho to lay around the shoulders. And if you look at the picture on the actual pattern that I have included in the description box, you can see how it lays on the model of the person that they have it on, and just decide if that's the right, place for you and size for you, or whomever you're making this for. For me, what I found is that I am doing 70, because you can do anywhere in between the 64 to 72 for that first size. And just to be clear, the first size fits small, medium, large. I mean, it is a poncho, so it's pretty forgiving for whatever size you want, but I'm using 70 for that. So I'm going to start with a chain of 70. You start with whatever size chain that works for you. Now, we are working in the round from the neck down. And so when you make your chain, it's important that you don't get it twisted, right? When you're working around, you want to make sure your chain stays straight, and that when you join it, which we'll do here, but when you join it, it's not a twisted chain. So I don't usually recommend this for little short chains, but 70's kind of long. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do for this, and this is what I would do for any long chain that I want to do in the round. So I have a few already here on my hook, and I'm actually going to take it off the hook, and I'm going to put it in through the very first stitch here that I made. Okay, keep that on, and then while keeping what I've done straight, see, I'm going to straighten that out like that, while making sure I'm keeping that straight. I'll do it this way so you can see it. See that? I'm going to put that back on my hook. All right, and now I'm going to continue crocheting my chains. And what you'll see when we get to the end of this is that you can just slip stitch it by pulling it right through whatever's on your hook, and it's automatically going to stay straight. So for your chain, go ahead and chain however many you want. Like I said, you want to keep it loose and not a tight chain. I will show you how I'm doing that. I pull the yarn out on my hook this same amount every time. So if you can see from the edge of the hook to that chain, I have about, I don't know how much that is, 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch. And all I'm doing is, when I do my next chain, I make sure I still have that spacing every time, so that my chains are pretty similar. So go ahead and do however long you want your chain to be, and then I'll meet you back here for the slip stitch together, and then we'll start the first round. All right, so here I have my 70 chain, and I just finished my 70th one. If you did your chain the way I did, where I put the beginning chain on my hook for, I guess, for safekeeping, all you need to do now is just slip that through your first chain, and you're automatically straight and even and nothing to worry about. Now, for the first row, we're actually going to do a little pattern around. We're actually going to work not in the chain, but around the chain. So this part's a little confusing. No matter what size chain you did, you're still going to do 32 of this pattern around. And that seems counterintuitive, like you'd need more if you have a larger chain. But the way this works, and you'll understand it probably a little bit better in a minute, is the size of your chain dictates how far apart the groupings are going to be around here, because you're not actually stitching in a chain, you're stitching around the chain, almost as if it's a really large magic circle. So your spacing will determine how big this is. You're still going to have 32 groupings. So that, I don't think that's really that clear in the pattern. So I just wanted to mention that. So here's what the grouping is. You're going to do chain 5, and that's going to count as a double crochet. The first 3 are a double crochet, and these last 2 are chain 2. Then what you're going to do is you're going to repeat that 31 more times, but instead of a chain 3, it's going to be a double crochet. So go ahead and in the chain, or around the chain, not in a particular chain, you want to do a double crochet and then chain 2. And it's a little bit harder, but do you see how this twisted up a little bit? You're going to want to make sure that this stays pretty straight while you work around it. But you can see we kind of made a little box, right? You've got the double crochet here, which is a chain 3, the chain 2, and the next double crochet. We have a chain 2 here, and now you're going to put another double crochet. So it's just double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, chain 2, all the way around, like this. See these little boxes we're making? And continue to do that all the way around. When you get all the way around, you should have 32 double crochets, counting this chain 3 at the beginning, and you should have 32 chain 2 spaces all the way around. So continue to do this until you get to this side over here, and then we'll join it and we'll talk about the next row. And here's what that looks like when you've gone all the way around. So you can see we have all these squares. Now, depending on what size you made, you might need to, move these around a little bit to try to evenly space them out. I've done that a little bit here. Some of it will work its way out as you crochet a little bit more and you have a few more rows on here. But you can see you can move these, the bottom of the double crochet to, see this one is a little close here, right? I'm just gonna move that over. And you can move these around to kind of make them even. And you can see we're back here at the beginning. And we ended with chain 2. I think I need one more chain there. Is that right? All right. So I ended with a double crochet and a chain 2, and I'm going to slip stitch that into the 3rd chain. Remember when we started here, it was a chain 3 and we said that counted as a double crochet, right? And it was a double crochet and 2 chains. So here's the top of your chain 3. I'm just going to slip stitch that right into the top of that chain 3, and now that's all the way around. Okay, and the other thing is, if you haven't done this yet, you might, if this is for you or for whomever, it doesn't matter, you might want to just make sure that this fits around the head and lays where you would want the collar of this shawl to lay around your shoulders. So that's a good, kind of a gauge is, does this actually fit? And if not, you can adjust it, you can put more of the original chains in there, and you'll see that even with the larger amount of chains, you can adjust these this group of 32 however you need to around that chain. And another reason to make sure that you're chaining loosely and that you're crocheting loosely. Okay, so here we are for the next row, and what we're going to do is what's called in the pattern a double crochet group. And a double crochet group is 2 double crochets, a chain 3, and double crochet, and 2 double crochets. So 2 double crochets, chain 3, 2 double crochets, all in the same space. And we're going to be working in these chain 2 spaces, not in any particular stitch. Now I will tell you the pattern calls to do a chain 3 right here, and that's your first double crochet, but since we're going to be working in the chain 2 space, I'm actually going to slip stitch over into the chain 2 space first because I want to be in the right spot for that. So I'm kind of in that chain 2 space now, and now I'm going to do a chain 3. That's my first double crochet. I'm going to do another double crochet, and that's my 2 double crochet for that double crochet group. I'm going to chain 3, 2, 3, and then I'm going to do 2 more double crochet all in that chain 2 space. 1 and 1 more double crochet. Okay, so here's an example of a double crochet group. 2 double crochet, chain 3, 2 double crochet, all in that 1 chain 2 space. Now to continue, we are going to chain 1. We're going to skip this next group and go into the one following and do that same double crochet group. So 2 double crochets, sorry. Chain 3. And 2 more double crochets. Okay, so you can see what that looks like here, and we're skipping 1 chain 2 space in between. Again, you're going to chain 1, you're going to skip this chain 2 space, and into the next one do your double crochet group. So 2 double crochets, chain 3, and 2 double crochets. Okay, so continue doing that all the way around. Since we had 32 of these chain 2 spaces or these boxes here, and we're skipping every other one, you should end up with 16 of these double crochet groups. So go ahead and finish doing your double crochet groups all the way around, and I'll meet you back here. Okay, so here are our 16 double crochet groups for that round 2. Okay, and what you'll want to do here is do a slip stitch into the top of that chain 3 to join. I tend to like to go under 2 threads when I do a join. You don't have to do that. All right, and now what we're going to do for round 3 is we're going to put what they call a fan in these chain 3 spaces that we made in all of these double crochet groups here. We're going to put a fan in each one of those. So we first need to get over there. So we're going to slip stitch our way over there. I'm going to do a slip stitch in this next double crochet. Then I'm going to do a slip stitch into the chain 3 space so that we're over there. And now I'm over into that chain 3 space. We're going to do 9 double crochets all in this one space here. The first one is going to be a chain 3 like we've done before. So now you want to go ahead and put 8 more, and that's going to count as your first fan. There's 6. Oops. Sorry about that. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's 7. Here's 8. And here's 9. All in that one chain 3 space right there. The first one is the chain 3, but that counts as a double crochet. Okay, now if you remember, in between all these double crochet groups, we have this one single crochet there, you're going to do a single crochet there. It's going to kind of anchor that fan down. So just go ahead right in there and do a single crochet, and then go right to the next chain 3 space and do 9 more double crochets. I think that's 8, so this should be 9. Just make sure. Yep. So there's 9 more double crochets there. Find your next single crochet in between your double crochet groups from the previous round and put in 1, see, sometimes those plies come apart pretty easily here. There we go. 1 single crochet. So you can see how those fans are coming in. It kind of comes off of these, it's an extension of these double crochet groups from the row before too. So keep going all the way around, 9 double crochets in the chain 3 space and 1 single crochet in the single crochet in between the 2 double crochet groups. So keep doing that all the way around. Like we had the 16 double crochet groups from before, so you should have 16 of these fans going all the way around. So keep doing that all the way around, and we'll meet back here. Okay, there are our 16 fans that we have all the way around. I ended with a single crochet in that chain 1 space right there. And then, like normal, we're going to slip stitch to the top of this chain 3, which counted as our first double crochet from that round. So we're going to slip stitch into that. And now we're going to do our next round. And what we're going to need to do is get to the middle double crochet of each of these fans. So since we did 9, that would be our fifth double crochet. So our target is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This double crochet right here. We want to slip stitch over to that 5th double crochet. So we already slip stitch into the top of the first. We're going to slip stitch into the top of the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Okay, so now we're in the top of that 5th double crochet. We're going to chain 1, and then in that same space right there, we're going to do a single crochet. And from there, what we're going to do is a chain of 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's your chain of 8. And you want to go to the middle or the 5th double crochet of the next fan, and you're going to want to do a single crochet into the 5th one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's our 5th one. And don't, make sure you're not counting like this thing sometimes here, which is the top of the previous row. Since it lays over, sometimes it can look like one of the double crochets, but it's not, right? So count whichever way you like. Sometimes I like to go from the back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sometimes the front, 1, 2, 3, 4. Either way you want to go, do your single crochet in the 5th double crochet in the middle of that fan, okay? And then you're going to do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Find the middle of the next fan right there and do a single crochet there. And you're going to want to do this all the way around until you get to the end, and then we're going to join it here and talk about the next steps. So keep doing your chains of 8 around there, and I'll meet you back here. Okay, so we finished with our last chain 8, and if you remember, we had a single crochet that we started with there. We're just going to slip stitch that chain 8 into that single crochet from the beginning of the round. So you have all these chain 8 spaces, and what we're going to do is we're going to recreate this first row here with the boxes. We're going to recreate that here. So to start with, and if you remember, these are all double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, chain 2, and that's what we're going to do here. So we're going to start with a chain 5. Oops, let me get on camera there. So there's our chain 5. That's going to count as the first 3 is a double crochet, and the last 2 are the chain 2. And then you're going to want to do in the chain 8 space a double crochet, similar to what we did that very first round, chain 2, double crochet, chain 2, 1, 2, and then the next double crochet is going to be in that single crochet from the previous round. So each one of these, and you might have to reposition them, but each one of these chain 8 spaces are going to have 3 boxes in it. See that? Okay. So then you want to chain 2 and do a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, chain 2, and then your last double crochet in the single crochet from the previous round. All right, see that? Like I said, each chain 8 space should have these 3 boxes. So do this all the way around until you get back here. You should have all these 3 boxes in each chain 8 space, and then we'll talk about the next round. Okay, so once we get all the way around, you'll see we have these boxes again like we did from the very first round, and we are going to basically repeat what we just did. We're going to next do the double crochet groups, which is the 2 double crochet, chain 3, 2 double crochet, chain 1, skip a space, and do that again all the way around. Then our next row is going to be the row of fans. So we're going to continue to do this. Still all in the off-white color. We haven't switched yet, but let's just kind of do a little bit of this just to refresh your memory. You can always go back in the video too. I'm not going to do every single round because we basically just did the pattern, but we'll talk through this a little bit. So I ended here with the double crochet and the chain 2, and like usual, I'm going to slip stitch that into the chain 3, the top of the chain 3 from the beginning of the round. Okay, and now we're going to do those double crochet groups. Remember, for me, I like to slip stitch into the middle of the chain 2 space first and then do my, I'm sorry, I'm a little off camera there. Here we go. For me, the pattern calls to just chain 3 right here. I like to actually slip stitch into the center of that chain 2 space first. So you're going to chain 3, that counts as your first double crochet. You're going to double crochet. There's 2 double crochet, chain 3, 2 double crochet, all in the that one chain 2 space. So there's 1 more double crochet and 1 more double crochet. Okay, then you're going to chain 1. You're going to skip this next box and do the same thing in the following box. Chain 1. Okay, so those double crochet groups again, and do that all the way around. I'll stick with you through each round, but just know that we're going to do this same pattern again. Now, when we finish these boxes from the row we just finished, you should have had 48 boxes. And since we're skipping every other one on this double crochet group row, when you're done with this row, you should have 24 of the double crochet groups. So keep doing that all the way around. I'll meet you back here, and then we'll just refresh your memory for the fan round and go from there. Okay, once again, we have finished our double crochet groups. The 2 double crochet, chain 3, 2 double crochet, chain 1, skip 1 square, and repeat that all the way around. And I ended with a chain 1 here. I'm skipping this last one, and we're going to slip stitch into the top of the chain 3 from the beginning of the round. And like normal, our next row is going to be this fan row, which is the 9 double crochets, but we're going to slip stitch our way into the chain 3 spaces. We're going to start with a chain 3 that counts as your first double crochet, and you're going to do 8 more so that you've got 9 double crochets in this first chain 3 space. Six, 7, okay, 2 more, 8, 9, so I have those 9 double crochets, one of which is the chain 3. And remember, in this chain 1 from the previous round, we're going to just do a single crochet to anchor that, and then go right into the next chain 3 space and do your fan of 9 double crochets. Do that all the way around to finish out this row. Meet you back over here, and we'll talk about row 8, and then I'll talk to you about the remaining rows. So for row 7, we're back here. We finished all the fans. We ended with a single crochet in that chain, that one chain in between the double crochet groups. And then we are going to slip stitch that to the top of the chain 3 from the beginning of that round. So now what we have is 2 rows of fans. And then we're going to do row 8, which is the same as the row before here, down here, with the 8 chain, groups of 8 chain. So to do that, remember we need to slip stitch over to the middle stitch of the fan, which would be the 5th one. So that was 1 that we slip stitch into already. Here's 2, let me just zoom in a little bit. Here's 3 that we're slip stitching into, 4, and then 5. Slip stitch, chain 1, single crochet, just like we did before. Okay, and now we're going to chain 8. And if you remember, we'll go to the middle of the next fan, which is the 5th stitch, and we'll do a single crochet. Chain 8. Go over to the middle of the next fan and do a single crochet, and continue that all the way around like we did the previous few rounds. And then we'll meet back here and talk about next steps. Okay, here we've done the chain 8 all the way around, and we're going to join it here to finish out row 8, and we're going to do this slip stitch into that first single crochet that we made at the beginning. Now what we want to do at this point is we want to end up with one more row of these fans. So to do that, we're going to have to repeat rows 5 through 8 just one time. So 5 is the one with the boxes. Remember the double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, chain 2. Row 6 is the double crochet groups with the 2 double crochet, chain 3, 2 double crochet. Row 7 is your fans of 9 double crochet, and then row 8 is the one we just did with the chain 8. So go ahead and repeat row 5, 6, 7, and 8 one more time in the off-white, and then we'll talk about changing color for the next round. Okay, so I repeated rows 5 through 8 one more time, and you can see that added a third row of the fan pattern on here. And at this point, we're going to switch color. Now to do that, I ended with my chain 8 right here. And I didn't slip stitch yet. Okay, here's where I'm going to slip stitch into that single crochet there. And instead of finishing up with the off-white, we're actually going to switch to the peach. So the peach is number 27. So we want to switch to peach. You're going to go ahead and insert your hook into the single crochet where we started. And instead of yarning over with the off-white, we're now going to yarn over with the new color, with the peach. And that'll just make a nice transition into the new color. So go ahead and yarn over and pull that through the single crochet and then through that chain to make a slip stitch. And now what you've done is you've changed your color to the peach. So from here, all we're going to do, well, first let me get rid of the rest of the ivory. I'm just going to leave enough to weave in later, or the off-white, excuse me, it's called. And now we're using peach. Now we're going to repeat rows 5 through 8 one more time. So if you remember here in these chain 8 spaces, we're going to put the boxes, right? So we want to create those 3 boxes in every space. So your first double crochet is with chain 3, then you chain 2 more for the 2 chain, and then right back into your chain 8 space, do a double crochet, chain 2, do another double crochet in that chain 8 space, chain 2, and now you're going to do your next double crochet in this single crochet at the top of the fan. Okay, so that's how you go ahead and start your next color. So go ahead and with this new peach, repeat rows 5 through 8, and you should have added 1 full group of this fan pattern in the new peach color. So do that and meet me back here and we'll talk about the next rows. Okay, at this point you should have repeated rows 5 through 8 in the peach color 27. And now we're going to do the same thing with the next color. And the next color is going to be apricot. And that is number 01. Let me see here. Yep, color 01, the apricot. We're going to switch to that. And if you remember how we did that last time, I have the chain 8 here. Oh, and before I do that, including this, completing this chain 8, you should now have 54 chain 8 spaces. So just to make sure we're still on the same path here, you should have 54 of these spaces here. So back to changing to the apricot. What we're going to do, like we did the first time, is go into the single crochet from the beginning of the round. Okay, I want to bring that in just a little closer. All right. So we're going to go into the single crochet from the beginning of the round, which is right here at the top of the fan. And instead of yarning over with the peach, we're going to take the apricot and finish the slip stitch with the apricot. And just bring that through and bring that through once more. Okay? And that's how you'll start off the next color. And what we're going to do for this next color is exactly what we just did before. We are going to repeat rows 5 through 8. So that is the boxes down here, the double crochet groups, the fans, and the chain 8. So go ahead and switch to your apricot and go ahead and repeat rows 5 through 8 all the way around. You should have another I guess row of this fan pattern, or another 4 rows of this fan pattern all the way around to add that next color on. So go ahead and do that and meet me back here and we'll talk about next steps. Okay, so now after finishing the pattern in apricot, you should have 81 of these chain 8 spaces here. And what we're going to do for the small, medium, large sizes, we're going to switch colors once again. We're going to use the raspberry, which is number 38 here. So go ahead and switch to that. And it's basically going to be a repeat of the same pattern, rows 5 through 8, with one exception. If you remember, every time we have these chain 8 spaces, we put in those 3 blocks, if you can see them right here, right? 1, 2, 3. So each one of those chain 3 spaces has those 3 blocks in it. For this round, we're actually only going to do 2 instead of the 3. Now, if you're doing the larger size, the XL, etc., you're going to need to do a little bit of an increase instead of doing 2 in every 8 chain space. If you're doing the larger size, you're going to do 2 blocks, 2 blocks, 3 blocks, 2 blocks, 2 blocks, 3 blocks. And you're going to do that all the way around until you get to the last 3. And instead of doing 2, 2, 3, you just do 2, 2, 2. So that'll be just a slight increase every third 8 chain space. You'll have an extra block in there. We're not going to do that though. We're just going to do the 2 block for the smaller version of this. So what we're going to do is just do 1 less of the double crochet chain 2 combo in here. So like normal, when you're doing your final slip stitch, so here is, let me take this out so we can see. Here's my final chain 8, and I would slip stitch into that chain, that first single crochet instead of chaining over with the old apricot color. I'm going to yarn over and pull through with the new raspberry color, maybe. Okay, and do my slip stitch with the raspberry, right like that. Now, what we'll want to do the 2 blocks is you're going to do your chain 5, which remember that counts as the double crochet and the chain 2. And then you'll want to do a double crochet in the chain 8 space, a chain 2, and then your next double crochet is going to be right into that single crochet at the top of the fan from the previous pattern. Now you'll probably have to move these around a little bit, you know, if you need to space them out appropriately. Then you're going to do that again. So chain 2, double crochet in the middle of the chain 8 space, chain 2, and a double crochet in the top of that single crochet from the previous round. So there you've got 2 in every one instead of 3. And that's the only change to the pattern. So that row 5 is slightly different now. the rest of it is all the same with your double crochet groups and your fans and your chain 8 at the end. So make that one chain, make that one change, and then come back here at the beginning, and we'll talk about finishing this off. Okay, so we finished up this raspberry pattern, and we should have, like we did before, 81 of the chain 8 spaces all the way around here. And we're going to switch to our final color, which is the red, and it's a 12 on here. You'll go ahead and switch to the red, and we're going to repeat what we just did. This is the one with the 2 boxes in every chain 8 space instead of the 3 boxes in every chain 8 space. So you'll want to do 2 boxes in every chain 8 space. You'll want to do the double crochet groups, and then we're going to end with the fan. So don't repeat the chain 8 space, just go all the way to the fan in red, and then come back here and we'll finish up this beautiful poncho. Okay, and here's where we end our final round. Remember, we just did the fans. We're not doing the chain 8. And to finish this off, I'm just going to do a slip stitch into the top of the chain 3 from the very first fan. And we are done. So you can just fasten off. Oops. Just going to do one single chain and pull that through, and then you can take a look at this beautiful poncho. And I'm going to back up a little bit so you can see the effect of this. It has this beautiful color change, really pretty summer colors too, all the way down to this vibrant red at the bottom. I just think this is really beautiful, and it will drape really nicely. This yarn is really nice, so you'll see that when it goes on, it'll drape really nicely for whomever you made this for. So I hope you enjoy this. Don't forget to weave in all your ends for where we had all those color changes over here. You'll want to weave those in. And that's it. Again, you can use any colors you want. You can, even use a different yarn. I kind of want to try this in that Lion Brand Kobu too and see how that works out, because that has a nice drape to it as well. But I really hope you enjoy this. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave them down below in the comments. If you have any suggestions for anything else you'd like to see, any patterns, any stitches, anything like that, please don't hesitate to leave a comment down below as well. And as usual, if you would help the channel out by liking and subscribing, I would really appreciate it. So until next time, have a great day, everyone.